America's best days are yet to come. That's because conservatives like you know and live the values our great country was built on. The Heritage Foundation exists to make sure your voice is heard in the D.C. swamp each day, shining the light on a bright future. The Heritage Foundation stands for your values and won't give up the fight because they know you never will. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
You're listening to the best of the Mark Levin Show. Have a very Merry Christmas. So a list was sent to me this morning. I think it was just an email I get from multiple website news organizations. I think it was the Jewish Insider, but I get some from non-Jewish ones, you know. But in any event, I got it, and it had a long list of people who were going to Qatar, where Qatar was paying for first-class travel and hotels and meals, and some people were actually getting paid a ton to speak at Qatar, to interview other people at Qatar. Mr. Producer, what do you think Qatar would pay me to support Qatar? It would be tens of millions of dollars, don't you think? Do you agree with me? If we can just shut this Levin the hell up, we give him 10 million, 50 million, 100 million. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. There are lowlives and sleeballs and grifters in this business who would take it in 2 seconds. Not me. Not me. And so I look at this list. I don't even know if it's a complete list. It's a very long list. Top business executives, more politicians, podcasters like Tucker Carlson, people in various think tanks, people I know who are even Israel supporters, some considered hawks. And they're really working really hard as Qatar to buy as many people as they can. That's what they're doing. They've got the Formula One race in Qatar. So I got to thinking about this, America. You and I are getting screwed big time here. Mr. and Mrs. America. Now, why do I say that? Does this help any of you? Many of you are in the car, you're in your truck, you're going home after a long week, can't wait for the weekend. You've got people in business, in politics, in these Washington think tanks, podcasters, so-called self-appointed influencers, who go over to Qatar. It's a Potemkin country. They see all the flashy stuff, all the wealth, all the enormous money. They don't go to the back streets and see over 1 million indentured servants, people from other parts of the third world who do all the work in Qatar. They just see the Lamborghinis and the really fancy malls and the Van Cleef and Arpels, jewelry and all that. Wow, this is just great. Unbelievable. And they're over there talking with each other, playing golf with each other, playing tennis with each other, watching Formula One races with each other. CNN is over there. Oh, they're all over. They're having a blast. Again, I know some of them. Some of them are my acquaintances. A couple of them are friends. Most of them are not. Vast majority are not. All walks of life. Now, do you think Qatar's doing that because they really want to improve American business or American sports? They really want to improve America's colleges and universities. That's why they pour tens of billions of dollars into our schools and so forth. Qatar really it's sort of a massive philanthropic operation. It wants to give us stuff and trillions of dollars and on. What's this all about? And how does it benefit you, Mr. and Mrs. America? Not one damn bit. People are getting enormously rich off of Qatar. People are having all kinds of luxuries thrown at them by Qatar. They're having a blast. They're having the time of their lives. This is what revolutions are made of. Now, what am I talking about? Our ruling class and our elites are being paid enormous sums of money, are being treated to unbelievable luxuries. Some of them are having investments made in their businesses, loans are paid off. Others of them are getting enormous fees for going to Qatar and speaking at Qatar. You've got entertainers going over there. You've got sports figures going over there. It's just unbelievable. It's well, it's not a winter wonderland, of course. It's a desert wonderland. It's a Disneyland. And this is a country that spends more money on terrorism than any other country on the face of the earth. This is a country that provides money as fuel to the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood, with its different tributaries, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Al-Qaeda. They support the Taliban and ISIS and so forth and so on. Qatar, as I've told you many times, people in New York in particular, but all over the country should pay attention to this. Qatar, who gave a fake job, salary, an apartment, and protection to KSM, who within 2 years later would be the mastermind behind 9/11. And when the FBI was on his trail, as I've told you, they helped scare him out of the country, where he decapitated Daniel Pearl of the Wall Street Journal on film, you remember? And then he led 15 out of 19 of the hijackers. Well, 19, but 15 were Saudis. I'll deal with them another day. Right now I'm focused on Qatar, because Qatar now is brazen and out in the open and in your face about what they're doing. And then when you apparently talk to members of the royal family, if they'll let you talk to them, they just lie. They just blatantly lie. We had nothing to do with that. These are all lies being told about us. And now we have influencers, podcasters, the Tucker Carlson types, the zombies of Qatar. And others now, members of Congress, members of think tanks, the elites, the ruling class, who are all now in the back pocket of Qatar. The idea that the Jews have all the money, I mean, that's been disproven, hasn't it? The Arabs have all the money. I keep hearing they're giving us trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. The crown prince, the inbred from Saudi Arabia, said, no, I'm going to increase the money I'm bringing into the United States from $600 billion to $1 trillion. Fantastic. Qatar, we can improve that. $5 trillion. Oh, that's just unbelievable. And none of you are going to see a penny of it. All these promises. They've destroyed 100, 150, some cases 200 years of work in our colleges and universities. They've destroyed our academies for our children and grandchildren. They're now targeting K through 12 to destroy our government schools. They've targeted our Congress. They've targeted all administrations, both parties. So they're on both sides of the tracks, the terrorists and the West. Why are they doing that? Because they're trying to lull the West, buy the West into a situation where the West is simply not psychologically or otherwise prepared to deal with this. To a state of compliance. You don't see much going on, do you, about Qatar money going into our colleges and universities? Has Congress passed a bill to stop that? No. Why not? Why not? No executive orders on nothing. Zero. Why? Qatar is buying into hospitals, to medical schools. $5 million to the Medal of Honor Museum. See that? Now, why do they care about our Medal of Honor recipients? They could care less. But they want you to think that they're really a tremendous ally as they pay for our destruction from within. I want to emphasize the point. When it comes to Qatar, I'm the populist. I'm the one telling you, tens of millions of you and all my fellow Americans, You get nothing from Qatar. Oh, they're going to invest in our country. As I said, it won't help any of you. The assembly line worker, the electrician, the plumber, the truck driver, the cop, the firefighter, the restaurateurs, the surgeons, the lawyers, well, maybe some lawyers, but you get the point. The people who make this country work, you, Mr. and Mrs. America, you'll see none of this. Meanwhile, people are becoming multi-billionaires. Billions put into their funds, billions put into their businesses, hundreds of millions of dollars put into their pockets. In fact, Carlson's first investor, I wrote it down here somewhere, Mr. Producer. I know I did because you gave it to me yesterday. Oh, yes. Omid Malik. He goes over there last week and in public, in front of the seminar, in front of members of the royal family, says, and one of our first investments was the Tucker Carlson network. I posted what the man said, and then one of his friends, Alex somebody or other, who's apparently in the inner circle, he comes out and says, stop dragging him into this. Stop smearing him. Dragging him into what? I linked to his own words. What's he doing saying that? Why is he bragging to a terrorist regime, a monarchy, overseas that one of his first investments was Tucker Carlson? Because we know why. It turns out this guy, Alex, Mr. Producer, he's over there too. A Wall Street guy. Wall Street's happy. Professional athletics are happy. The media are happy. The lobbyists, the law firms, all happy. People making millions and billions. They're all happy, and you're getting screwed. You're getting screwed. You get none of this. It benefits none of us. I'm not talking about welfare payments and redistribution of wealth. I'm saying it doesn't do a damn thing for our society. And by the way, where does this money come from in the first place? Who the hell buys most of the natural gas from Qatar? We do. So it's just recirculated money, mostly out of your wallets and purses. That's the truth. Our friend Ted Cruz has been really one of the great leaders in this battle. He posted that Carlson was over there, and over there, Mediaite, a guy by the name of Kobe Hall, who's now on CNN, so he's hardly objective. Guy has a very thin background, and nonetheless, he runs the place over there for Dan Abrams. And then there's a guy named Charles Nash who writes for them, a real left-winger and very low IQ. I've had to deal with this guy in the past myself. He points out, wait a minute, some of these people that are going to this event actually work for Ted. I thought to myself, what kind of candy-ass clip is that? Headline is that? I just said in my own case, I know people, acquaintances, and a couple of friends who are over there now, and I strongly disagree with them. They're not anti-Semites. They're not Jew haters. They're not Israel haters. They're not America haters. They're not pushing Sharia law. They're not doing any of that stuff that Carlson's doing. So, of course, Ted Cruz focused on Carlson. Because the people we know, who I believe shouldn't be there, but there they are, what can I do? They're not going to now turn into Jew haters and promoting Sharia law and all the rest. He is. Unequivocally. He's Qatar's best friend in the media. Best friend, bar none. He's Putin's best friend in the media, bar none. He's Iran's best friend in the American West media, bar none. Bar none. So why wouldn't the senator focus on that? Because it further underscores the ties that the reprobate has with the inbreds that is the royal family of Qatar. But the bottom line is, you, the American people, in my view, You see the ruling class, you see the elites of business and academia and media and politics and all the rest. They're making a fortune. They're making connections. They're, at least for a period of time, living in lavish luxury. Well, you break your ass every day and told how wonderful Qatar is while they're destroying your kids' minds. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. This is Mark Levin wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Now back to the best of me. So what you're going to see, what you're going to hear is even more people who basically have been bought off, who have connections now to the inbred royal family in Qatar. And I want you to do your own research. I want you to go to the memory site, MEMRI.org, Qatar's support for anti-U.S. terrorist activists and activities and attacks. New York Post, just the other day, Qatar pumping tens of billions into universities to help Muslim Brotherhood weaken the U.S., destroy democracy. I'm not making this stuff up. The Free Press, Qatar's war for young American minds. The Hudson Institute, the Muslim Brotherhood's U.S. network. The Muslim Brotherhood is funded by Qatar for the most part. It goes on and on and on and on. Their alliance with the Taliban. Weren't we at war with the Taliban? Their alliance with Iran. Didn't Iran threaten to blow us up the face of the earth? And then, of course, 9/11. People are making a fortune, and we're getting screwed. We're coming upon the 250th birthday of the United States, and it has me thinking, what will America look like 250 years from now? My friends at the Heritage Foundation want to know what you think. What policies should America prioritize? What principles should carry us into the decades ahead? As America enters a new golden age, Heritage recognizes that this is the time to take stock and to be intentional about how we shape the future of America. And they can't do it without your input. So please go to heritage.org/LEVIN and let them know what you think is important. Without patriots like you stepping up and speaking up for what you believe in, America as we know it can't survive for another 250 years. Please go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/LEVIN. Take the survey on America's future. This survey takes less than 10 minutes to complete, but it is critical for making sure that the America we pass on to future generations is an America we're proud of. Go to heritage.org/Levin today. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. This is the best of Mark Levin. Merry Christmas. So while Qatar is stuffing luxury in the mouth and the pockets of the ruling class and elites, in exchange for promises of investing enormous sums of money in the United States of America, let me tell you what they're really investing in. This is an exclusive from the New York Post the other day. Qatar pumping tens of billions of dollars into universities to help Muslim Brotherhood weaken the United States and destroy democracy. I don't know, Mr. Producer, is that worth 5 nights at the Ritz-Carlton? I don't think so. Qatar has allegedly pumped more than $20 billion into American colleges and other top institutions as part of the Muslim Brotherhood's decades-long plan to infiltrate the U.S. and destroy democracy from within, a leading research institute warns. while adding that the nefarious funding could be staggeringly higher. Man, are they laughing at us. They're saying, you know what, this investment in America's ruling class and elites, chump change compared to what we're getting for it. The Qatar Foundation, which is bankrolled by the country's ruling royal family, has apparently been injecting tens of billions of dollars in institutions to help the Sunni Islamist group carve out toeholds in the educational system. See, they figured out, we get the kids, we get the future. According to a new report by the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy, the Qatar Foundation. The royal family Qatar has a bayah, a spiritual oath to the Muslim Brotherhood. So they're pumping in many, many billions of dollars into our universities, K through 12 schools, and cultural institutions, using influence and soft power to promote its ideology, says Dr. Charles Asher Small, executive director of the group, in an interview with The Post. Many trails uncovered by the group show that Qatar, the regime, has donated a staggering $10 billion to Cornell University over the years. Imagine that. And with smaller amounts doled out to schools such as Georgetown, Texas A&M, Brown University. Oh, yeah. This is the tip of the iceberg, Small said, of the eye-watering sum he estimates could be at least $100 billion. $100 billion. Wow. Anybody concerned about this? Foreign money from a country that's the biggest financier of terrorism, that basically owns the Muslim Brotherhood? Yeah. Budgeted funding for the medical school in Qatar has averaged approximately $156 million a year from 2012 to 2025, totaling $2.2 billion. Virtually all funding remains in Qatar for Weill Cornell Medicine Qatar school operations. So here, ladies and gentlemen, you know, they say they're investing in the United States, giving to the United States, give it to Cornell, but Cornell has to spend it in Qatar. Now, isn't that pretty cool? Meanwhile, Georgetown has received over $1 billion in funds from Qatar, according to Small, which was put toward education in the social sciences, Middle East studies, and funding of the most important diplomatic training programs in the U.S., if not the world, quote unquote. Very impactful use of soft power, Small said. The group also discovered $1.3 billion to be given to Texas A&M by Qatar. Texas is a big target of the Islamists. Big target. They want to turn it, just like the Democrats. The contract, there's research involved in this, by the way, ceded all intellectual property rights to the Qatari Foundation for whatever they invent or discover. Faculty who created intellectual property at Texas A&M and Qatar received 37.5% of the net licensing revenue. The remaining net licensing revenue is distributed 33.3% to the Qatar Foundation, 29.2% to Texas A&M at Qatar to reinvest in the research program in Qatar. Now, of these, 58 projects had dual use for civilian and military purposes, and dozens more involved dual use for nuclear research. Noting the group has called on the Department of Energy to investigate this. It's just unfriggin' believable. This is a terrorist state. And we're supposed to pretend it's our buddy because the elites and the ruling class kind of smitten by this crowd. And it goes on. This is just one of many examples. Excuse me, cholera. One of many examples. The Muslim Brotherhood, again, that's Qatar's baby. The Hudson Institute, the Muslim Brotherhood's U.S. network. Washington, D.C. has suddenly become very interested in the Muslim Brotherhood. American policymakers are debating whether to engage in nonviolent elements of the Muslim Brotherhood network, both inside and outside the United States, in hope that such engagement will empower the moderates against violent Wahhabi and Salafi groups such as Al-Qaeda. Unfortunately, this strategy is based on, these are terrorists! Oh, we're such suckers. Our ruling class is so awful. The strategy is based on the false assumption that moderate Islamist groups will confront and weaken their violent co-religionists, robbing them of their support base. Nonsense. Even though the Muslim Brotherhood does not openly call for violence or terrorism, it still does little to oppose it. In fact, it may provide an ideological springboard for future violence. It goes on. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, this is the guy Qatar protected. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, KSM. The mastermind of 9/11 terrorist attacks, told U.S. interrogators he was first drawn to violent jihad after attending Brotherhood youth camps. Again, this is Qatar. It is therefore inexplicable that policymakers should seek to empower Islamist groups, such as the Muslim Brotherhood, as a strategy to combat terrorism. It's a great article. I commend it to you, by the Hudson Institute, by Zenia Baran. You can check it out yourself. The Muslim Brotherhood's U.S. network. They built a massive network in our country with funding by Qatar. And, of course, they were also involved in 9/11 through KSM. Qatar, that is. So what are we doing? Here's the Free Press. A incredible piece by Eli Lake. Qatar's war for young American minds. The same country now protecting Hamas senior leaders has donated billions to American universities. And he explains why. $103 million to Virginia Commonwealth University for Fine Arts Campus. $1.8 billion to Cornell in 2001 medical school. 2003, nearly $700 million to Texas A&M for an engineering campus. Since 2004, $740 million to Carnegie Mellon University for a computer science campus. 2005, $760 million to Georgetown School of Politics. 2008, $602 million to Northwestern University for a School of Journalism. Why is it so interested in ensuring that our children get such a great education? It's called brainwashing. Brainwashing. That's what it is. The last 25 years, Lake writes, the universities have justified these joint ventures with Qatar as a way to liberalize an autocratic society and bring American soft power to the Middle East. Indeed, Qatari officials have themselves given lip service to this goal. They're still protecting Hamas. They funded and supported Hamas directly right up to October 7th. Hamas has killed Americans, you know. Muslim Brotherhood has killed Americans. In some cases, the universities cooperated with Qatar's strategic interests. The Qatar campus of Northwestern, whose U.S. journalism school is ranked as one of the best in the world, signed a memorandum of understanding with Al Jazeera. That's the state-run Qatari royal family-funded news channel that has provided a sympathetic platform for Hamas and other Islamic groups to help train its reporters. So now Al Jazeera is helping to train journalism students, future reporters from Northwestern. How do you think of that, Mr. Producer? This is sick. And it goes on and on. One reason why Qatar has been able to invest so much in American institutions, because American foreign policy has embraced the country since the war on terror began after 9/11. Even though Qatar is aligned with Hamas, to a lesser extent with Iran, it also hosts the Al Udeid Air Base, our air base. The Qataris are an important interlocutory between America and Iran. And it goes on. One of Qatar's soft power aims is to advance the ideology of the Muslim Brotherhood, the Islamist movement that spawned Hamas and the ruling party in Turkey, Erdogan. According to a 2021 analysis from the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, Qatar funds the International Union of Muslim Scholars, the clerical arm of the Muslim Brotherhood. 2017, Bahrain, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates posed a trade and travel embargo on Qatar in response to its support of the Muslim Brotherhood. You've got these other Arab countries with these other monarchies, and Qatar has sought to fund terrorism in those countries and overthrow those countries. Saudi Arabia hates Qatar. Nobody ever reports this. I'm the only one talking about this. And it goes on. Article after article, money after money, evidence after evidence. And there they are, as I speak to you. These people on the list, chowing down on 5-course meals in 5-star hotels, enjoying car races, playing golf. Qatar is figured. You know, it has been said, and wrongly, by the way, that Vladimir Lenin once said that we will sell the capitalists the rope with which they will hang themselves. You ever hear that phrase, Mr. Producer? Turns out he never actually said that, but he said things like that. But it's not just the communists. It's the Marxists, Islamists will sell us the rope with which to hang ourselves. That's precisely what's going on. Precisely what's going on. The Hudson Institute, the Free Press, Memory, the New York Post, you name it. Goes on and on and on. There are studies out there trying to track the money. Has Congress cut off all funds, all foreign money, all, to our colleges and universities? No. Did the Biden regime? No. Is this administration? No. We don't need foreign money in our colleges and universities. And I haven't even gotten to communist China. That's loading our universities with money and building in their Confucius institutes and putting their students into our schools and what they're doing in our schools and how they're spying on our country. You know, we're not going to survive this. We can't survive this forever. We just can't. And I don't care if these people put smiles on their faces from Qatar and from communist China and all the rest. Qatar is a terror state. They can smile all they want. Communist China is a communist state. They can put a smile on their face all they want. And part of the problem already is that we rely on communist China for so many essential materials and products, many of which they stole from us in the first place. And now we're beholden to them in many respects. And that's exactly what Qatar is doing now. They are buying up our culture. They are buying up our politics. That's what they're doing. Our ruling class and our elites, you and me, Mr. and Mrs. America, working stiffs. That's what we are. Who carry the globe on our shoulders. This isn't for us. What's for us? And again, I don't say that as we want welfare. No. You built this country. Your ancestors built this country. So don't sell it to these people. Don't sell our institutions to these people. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. This is Mark Levin wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Now back to the best of me. Now you know why a lot of these podcasters hate my guts, Mr. Producer. Mr. and Mrs. America, I defend you. I stand for you, not these other countries. They want you to believe I'm Israel first and blah, blah, blah. This is all Qatari propaganda and BS. And they spew it and they repeat it. They undermine our country. They change our history during World War II. It all comports with the Qatari propaganda and what they teach their young people. I'm the biggest enemy they all have. I am. Trust me, I look over my shoulder every now and then. I really do. I'm the biggest enemy they have. So, because I stand for this country. All this money pouring into this country, it's not for us. It's used against us. That's the truth. It's the truth. I don't make a nickel off of any country. No country's ever paid me for hotels or food or sport. Nothing. Not one penny. Our country hasn't even done that. I don't seek it. I don't want it. Probably the cleanest guy out there. But listen to this one, NBC News. With Hollywood strapped for cash, well, who's going to step in? Saudi Arabia is reemerging as a key financial backer. Saudi Arabia wants to control entertainment. Qatar wants to control education and the politics. They've got trillions. We're paying those trillions for their gasoline and their oil. They're recycling it into our country to buy our country. Isn't it funny, years ago when the Japanese were buying all that real estate, people made a big hubbub and so forth and so on, and China's buying our real estate, we're making a hubbub, and not a whole lot's being done about it. These guys are buying up our culture. They decided the power's in the culture. And by the way, Qatar, however, owns more real estate, did you hear this, Rich, in London than the royal family in London. Is that incredible, America? The West is weak. Our ruling class, the elites, they're weak. Our media are weak. I think I'm coming down with a cold, or either that or I'm just starting to sound like Carol Channing, Mr. Producer. Who's Carol Channing? All right, we'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
You're listening to the best of the Mark Levin Show. Have a very Merry Christmas. What the hell am I doing in Virginia when our home's in Florida? Seriously, Mr. Producer. Well, there's certain events here that I'm having to attend, so that's why I'm here. This is the time of year you definitely want to be in Florida. You know what? My wife told me that the Loudoun County schools in Virginia here shut down today, Mr. Producer. There wasn't even an inch of snow. America, there wasn't even an inch of snow. This is why, in so many respects, not all of us, of course, but we're raising snowflakes, as my rabbi puts it. Folks, you could see the pavement all day. Now, this morning there was a little dusting. They were saying it would probably end around noon or 1 o'clock. They stopped the entire school system. I just think our school systems don't really want to educate. That's not their focus. If they can find a day to close down, they close down. I mean, in addition to the national, the federal holidays, they've got their own holidays. Then they have contract days off, you know, teachers in service day and work day. And around here, they're basically just not at school. They're off. They get the day off before Election Day. They get the day off on Election Day. I mean, it's like holiday after holiday after holiday. I'm saying, I don't know if that's good or bad, depending on what school they're going to. If they're being indoctrinated and poison's being fed to them, that's one thing, too. But good Lord. I mean, this is why we have too many people in the younger generations. You don't focus on us enough. Excuse me? As a parent, that's all we focus on. No, you don't understand. What's that? Like that caller a couple months ago, 20-year-old. You know how hard it is to buy a house? You're 20 years old. It's always hard to buy a house when you're 20 years old. You know how you get a house? How? You work for it. That's how you get a house. If you lose a job, you try and find another job. Or you learn a trade. Or you do something. No. I want to elect a Marxist Islamist. He said, free and get the billionaires. And yeah, it's not right. It's a whole psychological dimension of this. In addition to everything I've discussed the first hour, that is now being poured into the cranium of our children and grandchildren. Then you don't have to work. Or if you can't find a job, it's the system's fault. Or whatever it is. Rather than, look, you got to get up off the ground and you got to fight for what's going to be yours. That's the greatness of this country. You earn it. Go out and get it. You have opportunities. You may not know, but you do. And I don't know about most of you folks, but nothing is a straight line to success. Nothing is a straight line to be able to, put money in the bank and food on the table. It's not a straight line. It doesn't work that way. For some, if it has, that's great. But for many people, you're fired, or there's other problems, physical, mental problems, or the economy turns sour. So the whole industry, it's whatever it is. And that happens everywhere, no matter what system there is. But you got to be able to pull yourself out of it. There was no snow on the ground. A little dusting this morning. They canceled school in Loudoun County, Virginia. They got a 3-day weekend. Don't shut down the government, whatever you do. Pretty incredible, don't you think? All right, I want to finish with this. It's important. So Qatar is doing what Qatar is doing. Very evil terrorist-supporting country. Very active in our country in the West. Very active in our politics and our podcasters. And Tucker Carlson's his name for a reason. That's a damn good name, and that's what it is. NBC, Hollywood is feeling the lure of Saudi Arabian money. This is crazy. It's actually outrageous what's going on with these industries, these businesses going on in our culture. The stars are taking it, with many set to receive checks for attending this week's Red Sea Film Festival. So over in Saudi Arabia, we have a Red Sea Film Festival for Hollywood, for movie moguls, for actors and actresses, for the whole movie industry, the whole entertainment industry. And not too far away in the neighborhood, there's Qatar. They got the politicians, the businesses, the think tank guys, and the podcasters. Wow, they're busy, aren't they? Studios are interested in it, with their executives traveling to the kingdom to meet about potential deals. The highest level, Saudi money could end up helping to finance a massive media merger. Jesus, drives me nuts. For the entertainment industry, Saudi financing has become more appealing as other sources of money have dried up in the aftermath of the 2020 COVID pandemic. The 2023 dual actors and writers strikes and shifting audience habits away from film and TV to social media. So we're relying on two royal families to breathe life into our country? Money is good. That's Hollywood's perspective, said entertainment attorney Sky Moore at Greenberg Glusker. For the Saudis, it's all about building their own film industry, and they're trying to get the experience and the people there. It's all about owning our entertainment industry and propaganda America. That's what it's all about. From the country from which 15 of the 19 terrorists came on 9/11. Oh, that's so long ago, Mark. Give it up. Give it up. But Saudi Arabia's controversial human rights record makes the relationship an uneasy one for some of the West. You know, it's interesting, this mediaites writing this stuff, attacking Ted Cruz and so forth. Not once did they write about the human rights record in Qatar. It's all over the place. The indentured servants, the slavery, the brutality, people being disappeared, really disappeared, what goes on in the back streets and the back towns. Not a word from Mediaite, not a word from Drudge, not a word from anybody. Our friends. It's a sensitive topic to talk about in Hollywood, where more than a dozen insiders, including agents and producers and executives and bankers and publicists, declined to go on record about the inrush of potential Saudi cash. Yeah! This week, many of them are headed to the kingdom's coastal city of Jeddah for the Red Sea Film Festival. Jeddah. I'll call it what I choose to. Jeddah is better. Which runs through December 13. Recent years, the festival, a non-profit organization financed by Saudi government money, has paid talent up to $2.5 million to attend at least part of the event, according to two sources with knowledge of the deals who are not authorized to speak on the record about them. Up to $2.5 million for somebody to show up. How much are they paying in Qatar? Is Carlson getting any money? Maybe he's doing it for free. I don't know. Hotels, food, transportation, you know, those unlocked Lamborghinis that he's so impressed by. The festival does not disclose the details of any of its commercial arrangements, but we on occasion engage with talent on a contractual basis. For work we ask them to do at the festival, which includes labs and conversations, mentorship sessions with emerging regional talent, the festival said in a statement. You kidding me? This year's festival organizers announced that the 9-day event will feature a jury with Oscar-winning Anora, director Sean Baker, actor Riz Ahmed, stage conversations with actors including Ana de Armas, Dakota Johnson, Kirsten Dunst, on and on and on. Jessica Alba. By the way, the New York Post can't get enough of Jessica Alba. Have you noticed that, Mr. Producer? You got these 40-year-old, sometimes 50-year-old actresses, you know, who are really beautiful women and so forth, running around in bikinis. And they can't have it's like the paper with all the 40-year-old women running around in bikinis. I'm trying to read the news, and there's this photo. Am I wrong, Rich? I'm right? Here she is yesterday. Here she is with her boyfriend. What's his name? Okay, got it. The foundation is first and foremost committed to nurturing talent in underrepresented markets, as evidenced by our program and filmmakers we support year-round. Oh, they're humanitarians. They're DEI over there in Saudi Arabia. Do you believe that? So your festival organizers announced that the 90 event will feature that jury that I told you about. Oh, they have Angelina Jolie. Oh, yeah, Paramount's The SpongeBob Movie. Search for the SquarePants. Oh, real big hits. I don't know what the hell all this is. Told you I live in my own culture. Saudi money is also behind a portion of Paramount Skydance's more than $60 billion bid this week for Warner Brothers Discovery. Saudi is all in, ladies and gentlemen. All in the entertainment business. All in. Additionally, the kingdom is backing a $1 billion new independent content studio called Arena SNK, launched in October by former Lionsgate executive Eric Feig, and $55 billion deal for video game maker Electronic Arts, announced in September. Executives from Sony traveled to Saudi Arabia this fall for meetings. Spokesperson confirmed Comcast CEO Brian Roberts also traveled to the country this fall to attend a conference and view a potential theme park site, a tourism mega project in Riyadh. According to a source with knowledge of Roberts' trip, who was not authorized to speak on the record. While there are many deals in discussion, Moore noted that a major Hollywood studio is yet to actually close one with Saudi. Oh, they're getting there. They just wrote about all this money they're trying to do in these various takeovers, various parts of the media industry. But Hollywood's not alone in its attempts to muster up funding from the Middle East. Both the sports and gaming worlds have tapped into Saudi money. Critics, including Human Rights Watch, an international non-government organization, the Atlantic Council Research Institute, have accused the Saudi government of so-called sports washing, investing in golf and soccer to improve its international image. I don't need them to do it. I'm doing it. Right here, right now. 2027 WrestleMania will be held in Riyadh, marking the first time the WWE will hold its signature pay-per-view match outside North America. Ooh, can't wait. Video game giant Electronic Arts announced in September it will be acquired. It will be acquired. $55 billion all-cash deal by public investment fund of Saudi Arabia. and Affinity Partners, the investment company run by Jared Kushner. From the Saudi perspective, the entertainment industry spending is a way to reduce the country's economic dependence on oil and to improve their image globally. Yeah, that's for sure. They going to do a movie on 9/11, you think, Mr. Producer? Ooh, that would be a good one. And it goes on and on and on. Saudi Arabia not wanting to be outdone by Qatar. So far they are being outdone by Qatar, but they're all in, man. They're all in. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
As a consumer, you can carry the success or failure of businesses in the palm of your hand. Their success can depend on your decision to spend money with them or their competitor. Well, my friends at Pure Talk would like to say thank you from the bottom of their hearts for choosing Pure Talk for your wireless needs. Because of you, they've had a record-breaking year. Because of your generosity through their Roundup for Charity program, they've been able to donate over $500,000 to America's Warrior Partnership, who stands on the front lines of helping to prevent veteran suicide. Your patronage has allowed Pure Talk to donate 1,000 hand-sewed Made in America flags to your fellow veterans. And when you choose Pure Talk as your wireless provider, you help Pure Talk support American jobs right here in our country. Like I said, as a consumer, you have the power to make or break companies. And with the money the big wireless guys throw around on advertising, you're inundated with offers everywhere you look. So from everyone in the Pure Talk family, thank you for your trust, and God bless you. This is the best of Mark Levin. Merry Christmas. The problem we have here, the killing of the National Guardsman and the critically wounding the other and other murders taking place and would-be terrorist acts going on, is this fusion of Marxism and Islamism. The Democrat Party does not believe in securing the border. The Democrat Party believes that immigration of foreigners into our country is a right of the foreigners and that the citizenry should shut its mouth and just deal with it. Of course, the voting lists, they're trying to change the gerrymandering so they can have more House seats. They're trying to change the Electoral College and all the rest of it. So they're very nefarious, the Democrat Party. They're sabotaging our republic so that they can have one-party rule. That's their plan. That's the way they view it. On the other hand, we have an enormous number of Islamists in this country. That population is growing hugely. By 2050, it's estimated that Islam will be the second biggest religion in this country. By 2044, Barack Obama would tell us over and over and over again that the majority will be the minority, and the minority will be the majority. That seemed to be one of his key efforts, apparently, I guess. The purpose of immigration is to serve the citizens of the United States of all colors, faiths, and backgrounds, not the aliens who seek to come in here. But this is why you get open borders, and this is why you get people coming into the country, murdering other people. That's not to say we don't have domestic murders going on. I get it, American citizens. That doesn't mean you attract and invite other people into the country who are going to murder and maim and kill again. And then you have an assimilation problem because the institutions in our country that used to assimilate people, like K through 12, the unions have destroyed it. Like our colleges and universities, Qatar has destroyed it. Like our media, Saudi Arabia is about to destroy it, but the Democrat Party already has. We don't assimilate people into our culture. They bring their own culture. They bring their own ideology. They bring their own hatred and belief systems. We are a very benevolent country. We're a very tolerant country, a very loving country. That's not the case in everywhere in the world. And so you vet people to make sure they have allegiance, make sure they're going to work out in our country, that they're not going to be on the welfare system, that, in fact, they're coming here to improve the lot of the citizens in the United States. Here, that's the purpose of immigration, to serve the people in America. Used to be, certainly not anymore. So you have this this going on, this fusion that I've been talking about over and over again now for many years and writing about. You have this going on now. And so you get what you import. You get what you import. That's what we imported. Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas, Qatari money. Some people are making out like bandits. But we as a society are suffering from this. That's why I'm spending so much time on this. It's incredibly important. Incredibly important. Again, that's not to excuse people who are born in our country or doing diabolical things. Of course not. But there's no reason to import more of it, is there? And we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I want to get into this guy, the pipe bomber wannabe, some of his background and so forth. And it's obvious that the Biden regime, it's obvious that the Department of Justice, under Meritless Garland, under Christopher Wray, did next to nothing, despite the thousands of agents it unleashed on January 6 protesters, and some who were rioters, no question, but on people who had never even entered that building, but got tired very quickly of going after the would-be pipe bomber. I'll be right back. As a consumer, you can carry the success or failure of businesses in the palm of your hand. Their success can depend on your decision to spend money with them or their competitor. Well, my friends at Pure Talk would like to say thank you from the bottom of their hearts for choosing Pure Talk for your wireless needs. Because of you, they've had a record-breaking year. Because of your generosity through their Roundup for Charity program, they've been able to donate over $500,000 to America's Warrior Partnership, who stands on the front lines of helping to prevent veteran suicide. Your patronage has allowed Pure Talk to donate 1,000 hand-sewn Made in America flags to your fellow veterans. And when you choose Pure Talk as your wireless provider, you help Pure Talk support American jobs right here in our country. Like I said, as a consumer, you have the power to make or break companies. And with the money the big wireless guys throw around on advertising, you're inundated with offers everywhere you look. So from everyone in the Pure Talk family, thank you for your trust, and God bless you. This is Mark Levin wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Now back to the best of me. Next year, I have a special announcement. We're going to expand this. We're going to expand the Levin Empire. Oh, yes. Big announcement next year, Mr. Producer. We're going to expand the Levin Empire. We're going to reach even more people. We're reaching to every corner of the planet, every corner of the country. But we're not done, man. Now we're not even close to done. No. Tom Cotton is one of the great senators. We have this issue of Venezuela, as Bernie Sanders would call it, and I discussed this at length on Sunday. This issue of Venezuela, whether attacking these narco boats that want to kill our people, whether it's illegal for crying out loud, whether it's constitutional, whether the Secretary of War has committed war crimes. These people are nuts. So you will see a fulsome defense of the president, Cholera, the Secretary of War, our military, and what we're doing. And how perfectly legal it is, how perfectly constitutional it is. And yet again, the Democrats have a false issue. The whole Epstein thing. You ever ask yourself what happened to the Epstein thing? Another phony issue? You remember we were told by Bloated Bannon and Carlson and all the rest of them, back in June or July, I think it was, MAGA's falling apart. MAGA won't put up with this. What's that jackass UFC fighter's name? Ex-UFC fighter. Forget his name, another schmuck. But anyway, oh yeah, MAGA can't handle this. MAGA's turning on Trump. MAGA doesn't give a damn, it turns out. And it has nothing to do with Trump. Zero. As I told you. I mean, it's obvious. You folks, Mr. and Mrs. America, you're smart people. If Biden didn't have anything and didn't do anything with it, there's nothing there. And the president said there's nothing there. Shouldn't we trust him every now and then, for crying out loud? Rather than the radical kook media and the neo-fascist podcasters? Why do we listen to them? President said he didn't do anything, and he didn't do anything. President said he paid all his taxes. They leaked his tax returns. Then they got him through a subpoena. He paid all of his taxes. President said he didn't do anything with Russia. He didn't do anything with Russia. Why don't we trust him? And people who claim to trust him, they stab him in the back all the time. So here's Tom Cotton. Here's a combat veteran. This is a man who knows what the hell he's talking about. We reporters on Capitol Hill yesterday, they see the video, and it's obvious that they're going back to September 2nd because of this false Washington Post report filled with lies from anonymous sources, just lie after lie after lie. Pete Hegseth gave a kill everybody order. He wasn't even there for the second strike, and he never gave the order. Eyewitnesses said, no, he didn't. Oops, excuse us. No, we don't get an apology. We don't get an excuse us. No, we get one nuthead who wants to impeach him. Shri Theandar, Democrat Michigan, if that is his or her name. I guess it's a him. But you never know. Well, here's a patriot, Tom Cotton, with reporters on Capitol Hill. Cut one, go.
The first strike, the second strike, and the third and the fourth strike on September 2nd were entirely lawful and needful. I saw two survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs bound for the United States back over so they could stay in the fight. And potentially, given all the context we heard, of other narco-terrorist boats in the area coming to their aid to recover their cargo and recover those narco-terrorists.
No, you haven't heard the media report that. You had to have the senators say that. So why don't they report that? Well, we know why. They're corrupt. Then we have this guy, Jim Hines, left-wing kook. That's true. Democrat, Connecticut. Democrat, Connecticut. Let's hear what he had to say, actually. Cut two, go.
The Admiral confirmed that there had not been a kill them all order and that there was not an order to grant no quarter.
So does it exonerate Hegseth? Does it exonerate him?
That's all I got for you.
That's all I got for you. I'll help you out, Raju. That would be the Constipated News Network, Qatar's favorite, Raju. Yes, it exonerates him. And he never needed to be exonerated. He didn't do anything wrong, you creep. All of you creeps. So there you have this left-wing Democrat from Connecticut. The Admiral confirmed he never gave a kill-them-all order, and he didn't order grant no quarter. In other words, kill everybody. That's it. That's it. Now let's go to Shri Thanadar. That's right. Shri Thanadar, if that's his name. Democrat, Michigan. What did this jerk have to say? Cut four, go.
I did want to ask you here if you can break down kind of the basis here behind your idea to introduce these articles of impeachment against Pete Hegseth.
Okay, well, first of all, that's not a question, moron. That's not how you ask a question. The Constitution says high crimes and misdemeanors. Pete Hegseth didn't commit any high crimes and misdemeanors based on the secret briefing that you had. So why would you even seek to impeach him? Under what authority? That's how a reporter asks a question. What does Thanadar have to say? Go ahead.
One is the Signal Gate. He used a commercial app to talk about war plans, and he had...
That's not a high crime and misdemeanor. And he spoke on there, but he's not the one that even set up the call, Mr. Producer. Remember that? The Secretary of Defense didn't even set up the... Secretary of War didn't even set up the call. That's an impeachable offense. Now, these guys destroy our justice system, destroy our judicial system, destroy our immigration system, destroy. Nobody gets impeached. You got that Mayorkas. They had a phony impeachment in the Senate. They undermined and destroyed that provision of the Constitution, did Schmuck Schumer. And here, we're introducing impeachment because he used the Signal. You know, we don't ever use it. They always use Signal. No, he used a commercial app to talk about war plans. He didn't know it was a commercial app. Oh, but we have the Inspector General of the Department of War. He said that who cares? Who cares? They have a title. Ooh, it's an inspector. It's like a judge. Ooh, a judge? How many creep lawyers are judges now? Hundreds. How many creeps are inspector generals? You don't even know who this guy is. I don't even know who this inspector general is. But we're all supposed to rely on him because if we can screw Pete Hegseth, we'll rely on anybody. Go ahead.
Who is on the Signal chat? There was a reporter on the Signal chat.
No offense. Is this guy an American congressman? Is he rich? He is? All right. I'm having trouble understanding, to be perfectly honest with you. Go ahead.
War plans, putting our service members at risk. And this was totally unacceptable. And that is an impeachable offense in my mind.
Oh, really?
And of
what
course,
kind of mind do you have? Oh, here comes the follow-up. Go ahead.
You, because you are going to hold that rally here, and what would you say is more important? Would it be the report on Signalgate or the strikes in Venezuela, or is it kind of a
isn't this
mix?
guy great? I don't even know who the hell this is. I guess I don't know where he's with. But what do you think was the worst offense? Signalgate? What do you mean Signalgate? Signalgate? Or Venezuela? Which is worse? Says the tough questioner to Sri Thanandar, if that is his name. Go ahead, please.
Both there.
It's both, both. This Secretary of Defense
is both. And we're going to add a third. We're going to leave a blank there. So whatever he does, we're going to add there because we need to remove this man. Why? Why do you need to remove him? Why do they want to remove Pete Hegseth? What has the man done except serve our country? Except a war hero? What has he done to deserve this kind of treatment? Seriously, nothing. He's got massive responsibilities. He's got incredible stress, I'm sure, but he handles it beautifully. He's got the lives of tens of thousands of warfighters on his shoulders. And this is these Lilliputians, these nobodies, these backbenchers. There they are. I think we should impeach. Signal. Impeach over Signal. How come you didn't expel Swalwell, who slept with the enemy? Well, that was different. That's different. Now the guy's running for governor of California. That's different. The party of Chappaquiddick. Yeah, that's different. Everything's different. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
As a consumer, you can carry the success or failure of businesses in the palm of your hand. Their success can depend on your decision to spend money with them or their competitor. Well, my friends at Pure Talk would like to say thank you from the bottom of their hearts for choosing Pure Talk for your wireless needs. Because of you, they've had a record-breaking year. Because of your generosity through their Roundup for Charity program, they've been able to donate over $500,000 to America's Warrior Partnership, who stands on the front lines of helping to prevent veteran suicide. Your patronage has allowed Pure Talk to donate 1,000 hand-sewn Made in America flags to your fellow veterans. And when you choose Pure Talk as your wireless provider, you help Pure Talk support American jobs right here in our country. Like I said, as a consumer, you have the power to make or break companies. And with the money the big wireless guys throw around on advertising, you're inundated with offers everywhere you look. So from everyone in the Pure Talk family, thank you for your trust, and God bless you. This is the best of Mark Levin. Merry Christmas. So we have this guy who Kash Patel and Bongino and Bondi, with, of course, the G-men, captured after years and years of neglect by the Biden regime. Years and years of neglect by the Biden regime. So here we have, how much time do I have, Rich? Here we have Kash Patel on Fox yesterday. Cut 8, go.
What we have found here is that any leadership that weaponized the Federal Bureau of Investigation in the prior administration or before that, we removed. Once we put our leaders in the field, like our new ADIC in Washington, D.C., and the deputy director and all other leadership across our 7th floor here, we told them the mission is simply as follows: crush violent crime and defend the homeland. That's what we do, and hold people accountable. And once that message and our leadership got out into the field, and here's another important part, we put 1,000 agents across America, removed them from headquarters, took intel analysts and support staff and pushed them out across the country to say the crime fighting has to happen out in the streets and in the cities of America and not inside the Hoover building and the headquarters building that built this diseased temple of weaponization. And that, coupled together with the president's authorities and resources to direct against priority targets, allowed us to put the manpower on this target set. And it wasn't easy, Trace. I'm not going to say it was easy, but they had 4 years and we did it in 8 months.
That's pretty good, folks, but not to Mark Warner. Not to Mark Warner, who's a moron. He was on MS Now yesterday, which is so yesterday. Cut 10, go.
I think it is good news if this perpetrator got arrested. But I got to tell you, it kind of makes me, looking at this crowd doing a victory lap, when all the senior FBI officials across all key divisions have been fired for political purposes, when in some field offices up to 45% of the FBI officers who are doing things like counter-espionage and cyber have been assigned to do immigration cases.
Yeah, and isn't it amazing? They actually caught this guy by basically removing certain individuals who obviously needed to be removed and trying to refocus their priorities. Isn't it amazing, America? And crime at the federal level is way down under this FBI director and deputy FBI director, under this attorney general. Here's Pam Bondi, cut 9, go.
So why didn't the last FBI and Department of Justice catch this guy?
Lawrence, and that's the great question. This case languished. It sat there for 4 years collecting dust. No one did anything to solve this. And right when Kash Patel and Dan Bongino came in, Dan said to me, Dan said to all of us, I'm going to solve this case. He put a new team on it, working with Jeanine Pirro, our U.S. attorney, with Todd Blanche, with all of our attorneys at Maine Justice. A new team gathered on this case. Old evidence, new people, great police work. That's all it is. Good old-fashioned police work. And it solved a case that right from where I'm sitting, this bomb was planted
well
at
said.
the RNC.
And how dare this Senator Warner, so concerned about the bureaucrats who were in place for decades and decades, who weren't getting the job done. That's what he's worried about.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
You're listening to the best of the Mark Levin Show. Have a very Merry Christmas. We're going to have some fun today. Oh, my gracious goodness. We is. Oh, yes, we be. Oh, yeah. A couple of things before I get into... Let me tell you one of the things I want to do tonight. I want to start getting into some history of our founding, history of the Declaration, pre-Revolutionary War. The Revolutionary War really started in 1775 and not 1776, to be honest with you. That's when things were starting to kick in. The Constitution, some of the people in the Constitution you've never heard of before. But who signed it? They were really big deals back in the day, but names that you're unfamiliar with. You know, this reminds me of something. I told you maybe a year ago or 6 months ago, I've become fascinated with the Impression era of painters, of artists. And slightly before the Impressionist period and slightly after the Impressionist period. But I really read everything I can get my hands on now about some of these artists. Doesn't mean I can pronounce their names. Most of them are French, not all of them. And it's funny because I seem to know more about them and what they did than how to pronounce their names. And there are some disputes over how to pronounce their names, but I don't pretend to know all of them. And some of them were unbelievable. But they never got top-tier billing. They never got top-tier billing. Camille Pissarro, one of the founders of the entire movement. Most people have never heard of him. Edward Baudin, another one. And then there were men in the movement and a few women. Alfred Sisley. Now, I know a lot of this is French for many of you, but I'm getting to a point. He was born in Britain. His family moved to France. Others whose names, no doubt, you are familiar with. Monet, obviously. Considered one of the greatest of the great. Cézanne. Gauguin. Brilliant. Everyone's heard of Van Gogh. Seurat. When he was 31, and yet many of you are familiar with that name. You may not be familiar with them and what they did, but the names, right? The names. Renoir. And others. I happen to like Chagall. He wasn't impressionist, but fabulous in my view. So what, in some cases, separated those who would become renowned for all time and those who wouldn't? Because some of those who painted some of the most magnificent impressionist pieces are utterly unknown to the vast majority of us, right? And others are very, very well known. Now, obviously, it can be the quality of the work or the interest that work inspired, but some of them were much better at marketing themselves than others. Some of them played bigger roles. And the prominence of the Impressionist movement was considered a very revolutionary, if not radical, movement when it began. It's the same with our founding. It's the same with our founding. There are many men and women who were crucial in the founding of this nation, whose names you probably never heard of before. Whose names you probably never heard of before. And I want us to familiarize ourselves with some of them. Do you want to begin? Should I begin with this, Mr. Producer? I should, because there's other things I want to talk about, too, that are annoying me. But let's start with the stuff that I find fascinating. Let's take a look at some of the signers of the Constitution. You know, when this is all said and done, broadcasting for me, and I don't know when it'll be or when it'll ever be, I really want to teach one course in American history, early American history. Maybe at a small college somewhere. If they'd have me. This is one of the reasons I love our country. This is one of the reasons I get furious at people who trash it. In the name of claiming that they're America first, or MAGA especially. I get the Marxists and the Islamists. They hate us, they hate the country, they're trying to destroy it. But the others, they wrap themselves in the flag, in the founding, in the Constitution, while they're burning the whole thing down. I have no stomach for this. None. How many have heard of William Samuel Johnson of Connecticut? He's a signer of your Constitution. A self-taught lawyer, as many lawyers were back then. He had many connections to Britain. He was torn about this, the competing sides, when the revolution broke out in 1775. He worked on some of the peacemaking initiatives he tried. He was accused of communicating with the British in 1779, but his skills in the law were so good that he was sent to be one of the delegates to the Constitutional Convention. How about Richard Bassett, B-A-S-S-E-T-T? Ever hear of him? He was a delegate from Delaware, the first state. A captain of the cavalry militia during the Revolutionary War, Bassett was a committed member of the convention. He was a regular attendee. Some of them were not. He was also a quiet one. He made no speeches at all, and he didn't serve on any committees. Essentially an observer. Ever hear of Jacob Broom, also of Delaware? He's a farmer, a surveyor, successful businessman. He turned his hand to many ventures. Import company, cotton mill, real estate. He attended every session of the Constitutional Convention as well. Also from Delaware, George Reed. Ever hear of George Reed, one of 6 brothers? He signed the Declaration of Independence. He voted against independence at the Continental Congress. He championed the cause of the small states during the convention. He eventually went on to serve in the United States Senate. Fairly significant figure that most people have never heard of. A couple more. We'll save some for each successive day. We're on the air here. William Few, F-E-W, on behalf of Georgia. He had a tough childhood. He taught himself law and began to practice in 1776. He later became one of Georgia's first senators and worked as a federal judge from 1796 to 1799. One of the men who signed the Constitution of the United States. Now, the convention was attended by 55 of the 70 appointed delegates. Did you know there were 70 appointed delegates? Only 55 attended. Only 39 of the 55 actually signed the final document. 39 of the 55. We won't do this all in one sitting. I will get into this in more detail. Why is that? Why did only 39 of them sign it? Some of them disagreed with it. Some of the greatest founders disagreed with it because they thought it gave too much power to the central government. So you just learned something you probably didn't know before. Mr. Producer, I don't know if you knew. Right? They don't teach it. There were 70 delegates appointed, 55 attended, 39 of the 55 signed the Constitution of the United States. Now, I suspect you know more than 99.9% of the podcasters out there who trash our country. I've always believed that one of my roles here, and I mean this, one of my roles here is to fill these gaps. I mean, this is a big platform. Not just to rant and throw around curse words, to lie about our history, to trash our country, to promote Qatar and all the rest of it. No. I want to promote Americanism. The Revolutionary War. When we return, I want to tell you about a man named Haym Salomon, who none of you have heard of, maybe a handful, but virtually none of you. And without him, there would have been no victory at the Revolutionary War. There would be no America. That's how significant he was, and you're going to find out about a number of these people during the course of our 250th anniversary, because I'm going to make sure of it. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
This is Mark Levin wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Now back to the best of me. Haym Salomon. This is one of the areas Wikipedia actually gets it right. He was born in 1740 and he died at the age of 44. He was born in Poland. Studied finance in Western Europe. Came to the United States, New York City in 1775, right at the beginning of the Revolution. That's when war broke out. Salomon supported the Patriots. He provided financial services while working alongside financier Robert Morris. You may have heard of him. He was the superintendent of finance of the United States, a very famous member of the Sons of Liberty. And Haym Salomon joined the Sons of Liberty. And he was arrested multiple times by the British for espionage. And the last time they said they would execute him, and he bought off a guard who let him go. He's considered, is Haym Salomon, the financier of the Revolutionary War. And without him, the war could not have been prosecuted. At key times, they turned to him. Madison, George Washington. He helped convert French loans into hard currency by selling bills of exchange on Morris's behalf. He also brokered large donations to the Patriot cause. This included a critical $20,000 loan out of his own money at the request of George Washington to Madison. In 1781, that enabled Washington's decisive Yorktown campaign, the turning point of the American independence. Without Salomon, that campaign could not have taken place. From 1781 to 1784, Salomon helped provide over $650,000, almost $15 million in today's numbers. He was also an advocate for religious liberty. He co-founded Philadelphia's Mikveh Israel Synagogue, challenging discriminatory laws. Despite donating his entire fortune to the Continental Army and several founding fathers, he helped them. He gave them no-interest loans so they could survive, including Madison. He died penniless in Philadelphia at the age of 44 due to the failure of government officials and private lenders to repay his debt, the money they owed him. He sympathized with the Patriots. He joined the New York branch of the Sons of Liberty. In 1776, he was arrested by the British as a spy, quickly pardoned. However, the British authorities detained him for 18 months on a boat as an interpreter for the Hessian troops, since he could speak multiple languages, including German. Salomon used his new position to help prisoners of war from the Continental Army escape. He encouraged Hessian troops to desert and collaborated with Hercules Mulligan and Cato to carry out other acts of espionage on behalf of the Americans. In 1778, Salomon was arrested again, convicted of espionage, and sentenced to death. He made his escape, made his way with his family to Philadelphia, where the Continental Congress was located. Once resettled in Philadelphia, Salomon resumed his activities as a broker, became the agent of the French consul as well as the paymaster for all French forces in North America. 1781, he began working extensively with Robert Morris, as I said, the newly appointed Superintendent of Finance of the United States. And he provided money for the Battle of Yorktown to pay Washington's troops, who demanded several months of pay or they weren't going to fight, what would become the key battle. This is the best of Mark Levin. Merry Christmas. There are a number of tremendous patriots who get no mention, without whom we would not have the United States of America. And they gave up everything. Everything. And as I was saying earlier, this is why I get infuriated about the trashing of our country, the promoting of Middle East monarchies and people like Putin and all the rest. This is not who we are. This is not who we are. Back to Haym Salomon, and I really do believe that if The podcast business was more oriented toward promoting America, was more oriented towards patriotism, less oriented toward grifters, narcissists, and foul-mouthed buffoons, this country would be far better off, particularly given the access to so many young people. And so I condemn them. I condemn them. They're not influencers. They're destroyers. Not influencers. They're destroyers. Washington determined that he needed at least $20,000 to finance the Yorktown battle, the last battle. The French Navy was there, and they gave him a limited amount of time because they were going to leave. They couldn't afford to stay there, and they didn't want to be boxed in by the British either, who they were boxing out. Morris, who was in charge of the funding for the war, told them there were no funds, no credit available. They were broke. Dead broke. Washington said, quote, "Send for Haym Salomon," unquote. Salomon did everything he could. He raised $20,000 for the sale of bills of exchange, and with that contribution, Washington was able to pay his troops, provide for food and supplies before the troops mutinized. He conducted the Yorktown campaign. That was the final battle, really, of the American Revolution. Now, Haym Salomon brokered the sale. If you haven't guessed by now, he was Jewish. Brokered the sale of a majority of the war aid from France and the Dutch Republic. Sold bills of exchange to American merchants. Salomon also personally supported various members of the Continental Congress during their stay in Philadelphia. You may have heard of some of them, James Madison and James Wilson. He requested below-market interest rates. He never asked for repayment at all. And that would wind up with him going bankrupt before he died. Broke. Didn't have a penny. He's believed to have granted outright bequests to men who he thought were unsung heroes of the Revolution, who had become impoverished during the war. One example is Bodo Otto, another person you probably never heard of. He was the senior surgeon in the Continental Army. Otto joined the Army at the age of 65 years old. He served for the entire war, and among other things, he established the hospital at Valley Forge, where he often used his own funds to purchase medical supplies. He went broke. But due to Salomon's bequest to Otto, Otto was able to rebuild his medical practice in Reading, Pennsylvania, at the end of the war. The Treaty of Paris was signed on September 3, 1783. It ended the Revolutionary War, but not the financial problems of the new nation. America's war debt to France was never repaid, which was part of the cascade of events leading to the French Revolution. See, France went almost broke, sending their armada to our country to help us win the war against the British, because they wanted to defeat the British. Now, this fellow, Haym Salomon, was involved in the Jewish community in Philadelphia, a member of Congregation Mikveh Israel that he founded. That's right, the Jewish community goes way back, even before the Revolutionary War. In 1782, he made the largest individual donation toward the construction of that synagogue. He fought for religious liberty for all faiths. He helped to remove the religious tests for all faiths. And that included Catholics. And he died suddenly and in poverty at the age of 44, January 6, 1785, in Philadelphia. And due to the failure of our government and other governments and private lenders to repay the debt incurred, his family was left penniless when he died at the age of 44. The hundreds of thousands of dollars, which would be tens of millions of dollars today, of the Continental debt that he bought with his own fortune were worth only about 10 cents on the dollar when he died. And that was it. So what is his legacy? He has no legacy. Except for me mentioning him, as some of these other men I'm going to mention over the course of our 250th anniversary, who have no legacy and deserve a legacy. Haym Salomon deserves a legacy. Without him, we would not have a country. His gravesite is located on the Mikveh Israel Cemetery in Philadelphia. It's unmarked. There are 2 plaque memorials. The east wall has a marble tablet that was installed by his great-grandson. And a granite memorial is set inside the cemetery gate. Other than that, it's as if he never existed. As if he never existed. And there are others just like this. That's Haym Salomon. For all the Jew haters out there who pretend to be America Firsters who are not America Firsters. They don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Now, the FBI director signed 2 memoranda of understanding, according to the press, with the monarchy, the dictatorship in Qatar, that we would share training and intelligence information with Qatar. So now we are up to our eyeballs in Qatar militarily. When it comes to our intelligence activities, when it comes to our law enforcement activities, our techniques, and our training, they will have some of the most sophisticated military equipment built at the ingenuity of the American people, American capitalism. They will have a facility built on our air base in Idaho, and we're told, well, others do too. Yeah, but not a country that was involved in 9/11. Not a country that was involved in October 7. Not a country that supports the Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Iran, and the Taliban. Not a country that spends billions of dollars poisoning the minds of our young people in our colleges and universities. Nobody like Qatar has a facility on a base in the United States of America. And I'm gravely concerned about this, gravely. Mr. Producer, I'd like you to post again on social media our hour from yesterday, our first hour, where I talked about this new imperial ruling class. Not all of it, but too much of it seeks to enrich themselves. These are grifters, whether they're in politics, business, media, some of whom have good intentions, many of whom are selling out our country. Those of us who do understand radical Islam, the mentality, the war on the West, and how they intend to conquer the West, that is, who educate ourselves and have become knowledgeable in these ways because certain of their so-called scholars and imams have told us so, we understand what's going on. You, Mr. and Mrs. America, you do not benefit at all from this relationship. I understand they're going to be sending trillions of dollars into our country. When? When? And I'm sure they're going to have a return on the dollar, too, that's quite significant. I personally am very unhappy about this. It's not a one-party thing. It's a multi-party thing. It's not an ideological thing. People with all kinds of ideologies have their hand in the Qatari trough. I'm repulsed by the phony influencers and podcasters and their ilk who claim to be concerned about you. They claim that the American system is holding you down. They claim that the American system is corrupt. They claim that we took the wrong side on World War II. They trash Jews. They trash Christians. while they saddle up to our enemies. Pretty sick. Pretty shocking. This will be a period that goes down in our history books as a very dark period. And the names of these people who want to be famous, they will become infamous. Those of you who have the guts to speak out, and it doesn't take a lot of guts, those of you who speak out, you will be remembered. You will be remembered as great patriots who spoke out when you needed to speak out. You will be the Haym Salomons. You will be the Paul Reveres, the Thomas Paines. That's what you'll be. The others will be the Benedict Arnolds, who turn on their country at a time of need for money, for power. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
This is Mark Levin wishing you a very Merry Christmas. Now back to the best of me. You have critics, pseudo-conservatives among others, who say he's not focused on the economy. He's focused like a laser. Peace and prosperity, that's his agenda. Peace abroad, prosperity at home. The vast majority of his executive orders are intended to reduce the bureaucracy, limit regulations, slash them like no president ever has, to open up our lands and our waters to commerce in a responsible, environmentally wise way. And it's working. The big, beautiful bill passed in late May, as I recall, has massive tax cuts that will have significant effect at the beginning and mid next year. People forget Ronald Reagan's August 1981 massive tax cuts, and they were massive. It took literally 14 months. Some have said 18, some have said whatever, but I looked it up. It was 14 months until the full force of those tax cuts took effect. And the economy exploded with growth, wealth creation, prosperity, new jobs, increased income, entrepreneurship, massive growth. Donald Trump has put in place a very, very similar program that will do, I believe, the same thing. And as Reagan would say, stay the course. You see some of these rhinos panicking. You see some of these woke Reich types taking shots at the president. Not me. I support what he's done here very, very strongly. And he knows what he's doing. He already did it in his first term. We had a massively prosperous economy. Biden and the Democrats come in and they kill it. It's as if they wanted to kill it. Huge taxes, infinite regulations, restrictions on drilling, restrictions on fishing, restrictions on ranching, restrictions on everything. As if they wanted to decrease economic activity. They passed these massive spending bills, massive debt. They lied about it. Inflation reduction was inflation promotion. President is trying to undo all that, in addition to create growth. And he has spent God knows how much time negotiating trade deals that are beneficial to the United States, bringing in significant amounts of money to rebuild our industries and so forth against communist China and the rest of them. He's got a lot to be proud of, and he's got a lot to point to. And this issue of affordability is a catchphrase by the left. Like equality, they use that one too. They mean nothing. The fact is, if you create economic growth and prosperity, wealth creation, you not only have affordability, you have well beyond affordability. You have security. You have availability. You have new products, new medicines, new jobs, cutting-edge technologies. That's what Trump's doing, and it will pay off. Stay the course. It will pay off. I'm deeply proud of what he's done. And you spent a lot of time focused on the domestic economy. The Democrats always talk about Republicans killing the economy. When Bill Clinton ran for president the first time against Bush 41, he kept saying we were in a recession. We were never in a recession. But they repeated the lie, the media repeated the lie, and people thought we were in a recession. That's why Donald Trump's in Pennsylvania this evening. That's why he's going to travel the country. Because nobody like him can communicate with the American people and bring the truth to our communities. I think what he's done on the economy has been second to none. Outstanding. And I think it'll pay big dividends. The issue in the midterm elections, I think, will be the economy, of course, but it's going to be the woke Reich, R-E-I-C-H. If 3, 4, 5% of the people decide to stay home because of Tucker Carlson, because of Steve Bannon, people they don't even know or understand, nobody understands them, because of Candace Owens and the other reprobates, just a small percentage who say we want no identity with Nazis, we want no identity with anti-Semites, we want no identity with people who trash Christians, who promote Sharia law, we want no identity with any of those people. They will cause us the election. And Tucker Carlson has said as much. Not going to vote Republican. He hates the Republicans. Okay, well, we have nothing else. The goal is to push the Republicans in the right direction, not to get the Democrats elected. These are saboteurs, low IQ saboteurs. I'll be right back.